Morning. Change this. Right, there we go. Morning, Roxanne. Thank you for my brooms and eyes. Truth Speaker 27. Morning, Leonard Harris. Morning to you. Rutrude. Morning, Cheryl Bishop. Morning, Wazid. Morning, Sir. Marge France. Morning, Marge. Leon Graves, our friend from Toko. J Dimple 66. Anna Sisnat. Morning, Anna. Anna, how's the weather in Canada? Pamela O'Connor, morning to you. Roxanne says the elections bring out sneaks that was lurking in the Palisade. Roxanne, you had to bring me up to speed on that. What did I miss? Gillan Jackson, morning. Arlene Lewis, morning. Althea, morning to you. Leon Joseph, sorry. Our friend from Toko is Leon Joseph, yes. Forgive me. Let's see here. Key Borrell, Cyril Mayas, morning, sir. Sedena Koshi, morning. Hyacinth Richardson, morning. Jenny Gay Cupid, James, morning to you. Karen Spooner, Kathy Belfon, Annette Beard, morning, Annette. Carlos Fonilio, my Paramin friend, morning, sir. Angie Sherry, Jerome Marshall. Jerome says red is the code when PNM wins, everybody wins. Great is the PNM. Joey, you want to get the yellow party upset? Think for yourself. Morning. Patriot, morning to you. Glenn Richardson. Morning, Vienna Parmeshwar. Morning to you, Marlene Panton. That's quite all right, Glenn. Wherever the support is, yeah. By actually supporting a candidate, you're supporting all of us. Because as we were told last night at Balize House, this is a team effort and one team, right? 41 candidates, but it's one PNM team. Carol Bucco, morning. Carol Myers, morning, Carol. Diane Charles, morning, Diane. Margaret Thomas, morning to you. Yes, Carol, whenever you're ready. Good morning to His Excellency, President of the Republic of Pleasantville, and I must extend sincerest condolences to His Excellency on the unfortunate passing of First Lady Mauricia Keegan. You know that that I got that news yesterday. It certainly shocked me. I saw all of the condolences messages on Facebook, and certainly Mauricio would have impacted so many lives in such a significant way, more so than many of us would have known. So again, my brother, condolences to you, to her sister, the rest of the family. Alison Rogers Joseph, morning to you. Claire Carrington, morning. Jenny Bengoshi, morning. Judy Bowen, morning to you, Judy. Theophilus Lockheed, Anton Batiste, morning to all of you guys. Marilyn Wanza Cloud, Heather Lee, Phyllis Antoine, John Edwards, Pascal Williams, morning to all of you. Jennifer Dorset, Christopher Coffey, Jennifer Ferron, Joyce Neves, morning to all of you guys. Dandy Sandiford. What is this thing doing me? Stern Barnes, my friend, morning to you. Amira Williams, Deborah Duranty, Sherwin Humphrey, morning, sir. Joycelyn Smallwhite, all of you guys. Davy Manuel, Gillian Ayers, Pascal, morning. Christopher Serrett, Chief Ford, Janice Matthews, Nakisha Cole, morning to all of you. So let me jump into it. It was already 6:44. And today is the what do you call it, man? Well, it is the first leg of nomination where our elections officers would have to go to the EBC's returning officer in the district to have our documents vetted to make sure everything is in order, right? So that we are prepared. So when next Friday comes, we don't want to be caught with our pants down, because remember, if you miss next week Friday, that's it, you're out. and the PNM would be out of a candidate, and I ain't taking no licks for that. Yes, so yes, indeed. Let me see here. Right. Oh, I get you there, Roxanne. I got you. Yeah. I wanted to touch on that quickly too. But before we get into last night's events, let me play something here. I'm gonna start with that one time. So let me just switch this up. Right. Yes. I see someone asking if this is a UNC chat. Far from it, my friend. Far from it. Let's see something here. Right. I don't know what that is about, but I'll get back to that. Don't have time for that right now. Right. Let me see if I get this here. So yesterday, let me make sure I get this now. Right. No, I didn't save it because I knew it was on this particular page. Okay. Give me a second. Let me pull this up here, folks. So, no, I don't want to see you. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I should have saved it somewhere. Right. So one of the big stories yesterday was the announcement by the U.S. president with respect to Venezuela, an announcement that countries that purchase oil, extract oil, well, purchase oil or gas, extract oil and gas, for the benefit of Venezuela and so on, that any countries engaged in that activity would find themselves subject to some 25% tariff, right? And so one of the mouthpieces of the UNC wasted no time in coming to spread propaganda to speak on the issue. So let me get this here. Now, if tell me you're a moron without telling me you're a moron was a person, it would be this. I'm going to play this.
The President of the United States, Donald Trump, has announced they're putting a secondary sanction on Venezuela for violations that Venezuela is guilty of. And that any country that violates these sanctions and does any oil or gas business with Venezuela or Maduro, that country would suffer 25% tariffs on any and all business that they do in the United States of America. 80% of everything we consume comes from the United States of America. The follow-on increases in prices will mean hyperinflation to our economy between 50 and 60%. Now, what exactly does Stuart Lionel Young think he is going to do with Rubio? Bully him? There's nothing Rubio or Trump needs from Rowley or Young. So what exactly is that meeting for? Is Rubio humoring him? What exactly are you going to meet to beg him for dragon gas? They're going to tell you no. They're giving Maduro and Venezuela no wiggle room. Or is this just an election gimmick? Trying to fool your supporters into believing at some point we're going to be getting dragon gas. I want to tell Trinidad and Tobago something. This morning, until there is regime change in Venezuela, the United States of America is going to continue to blockade that country's oil and gas, and Trinidad has no hope of doing any business in that dragon gas field. Do not let them fool you.
Right. So as I said, if tell me you're a fool, a moron, without telling me you're a moron, was a person, was a video, it would be that. So first of all, clearly this clown, this consumer dunce, who feel he brighter than everybody else, doesn't understand how tariffs work, right? So let me just give a little quick definition for the members of the fully dunce who support him. So when he talks about First of all, it's secondary tariffs, not secondary sanctions. So get it right, sir. All right, get it right now. If you're going to make a video and you want it to go viral and you want everybody to figure you're bright, at least get the right information. Secondary tariffs. So what does he say? Tariffs, how it works, contrary to what he just said there, is that 25% tariffs on all business that you do with the US and so on, and therefore you're going to see an increase in price and hyperinflation, 50, 60%. Rubbish. How the tariffs work is that any goods exported from any country that does oil and gas business with Venezuela, any such country that exports products to the United States, when those products arrive in the United States, the customs authorities there would apply a 25% tariff or tax on these, these goods. So it means that the business in the United States of America that would have imported these goods would pay whatever price they would have paid the exporting country, right? But they now have to pay an additional 25% of the value of that goods to the customs authorities in the US. So you all know, those of us who bring stuff in to Trinidad and then we complain when it reaches customs want to charge you X amount of money because they tell you this and that and how much? Well, yes. So what it means is that if there is any country that violates this new edict that has been handed down by the US government with respect to doing business oil and gas, well, more so oil and gas, but business with Venezuela. If you export products to the United States, when those products arrive in the United States, aside from whatever you would have charged the US importer for the goods and whatever normal duties they will pay, they will now have to pay an additional 25% in duties. What that means is that your goods would now be more expensive in the United States. Because the importer, the US business that would have purchased these goods from you, right, bring it into the United States to sell it, in order for them to make a profit, they must now jack up the price of your goods to be able to make back that 25% that they would have paid in tariffs, which means that when your goods hits the shelves in the grocery store, wherever it is distributed, it is going to be more expensive relative to that of perhaps US made products or products coming from other countries that have no dealings with Venezuela. So that when the American consumer goes to the grocery and they're looking to buy stuff, so they're looking to buy, let's say what you're exporting is, I don't know, cookies, biscuit, chocolate. And when the American consumer goes to the grocery and they're looking for the chocolates and they see, all right, let me see this looking good. This is from Trinidad. Yeah. This is good, but oh, it's expensive. All right, they put it back. Let me see. We have here from made in the United States. Yes, all right. This one is cheaper. All right, this one has come from, I don't know, Colombia. This is cheaper. So because the tariffs would have been imposed on your goods, now it doesn't cost you anything, So your goods, it doesn't, contrary to what that clown just said there about hyperinflation and the price that is going up and rubbish. All right. It affects the cost of goods that is exported from Trinidad to the United States of America. And because it's going to be more expensive as a result of this 25% tariff, it means that the American consumer is going to purchase less. All right. And therefore, if they're purchasing less and these products are remaining on the shelves a lot longer, then the supermarkets will not buy as much because they say, well, it don't make sense we buy it because we purchase and what we last purchased, it's still on the shelf and people aren't buying it because it's too expensive. So obviously, if the grocery stores, the distribution centers are not, the retail outlets are not selling it by virtue of the increased price, then the importer will tell the Trinidad, just using Trinidad as the example, the Trinidad exporter, look, we need to order less from you because your goods are not selling in the US market as it used to sell before, because by virtue of this tariff, your prices have gone up. We've had to increase the price at which we sell your goods, and it's not flowing off the shelves as before, right? So we're buying less, which means it's going to impact the local business. Because if that is a significant market for you, and you have now seen a drop in demand or the amount that you're selling, it impacts, of course, your bottom line. So that is the impact of tariffs, right? So this dotishness, he just talk about hyperinflation and the price of thing going to go up and all of that. Fear mongering. Fear mongering, but he's supposed to be one of the brightest bulbs in the UNC chandelier, right? Failure nappy. Failure nappy has the audacity to come and talk about that. Failure nappy. You fail as a father, your own son don't want to take your name, went and swear a deed poll to remove your last name so that nobody will know. He doesn't have to suffer the indignity and the embarrassment of people knowing that he is your son. And you're vexed about that. Everything that you touch, you establish a political party, every election that you have fought, you failed. How long? Philip will fix it. Philip will fix it. You can't fix that. You can't fix your party. Talking about democracy in the PNM, but yet still, when has the PEP ever had an internal election? How were you elected? You leave the party, you resign, you say, I done, I give up. Can't take all this licks because my mouth writing check that the bank account can't cash. You walk away, and then 3 months later, you come back, you walk back inside because you had a brilliant idea. Kamala is calling for coalition of interest. Let me go and join. Yeah, so you walk back in and you kick out the three deputy political leaders who are trying to bring some semblance of sanity to that, wherever you consider to be a political party. That failed. You had a grab and go business by Victoria Square there, where the PEP headquarters used to be. That didn't last long either. Yeah? Didn't last as long as the Red House fire. That too failed. Everything this man, king, he is king minus. Not minus, minus. Everything he touches fails. But kill he dead, he brighter than everybody else. You're an idiot. But I believe that there enough of you. You've wasted enough of my time. Right. So I want to do a little reminding. And going forward, I think I'll probably see how it works out. But I may need to, as we head into the election, do my podcast a little more often. Right. So instead of 3 days, I may need to up it a bit. Because there's a lot of information to disseminate, and 3 days may not be enough. And I also need to cater for on those days when things pop up suddenly and I'm unable to come on, right? So we'll see how that goes, because Sharon is now back on radio 91.1, and so I know we're competing for the same audience. So we will see how we manage that. But I just thought I would raise that, right? But so I wanted to give a little throwback. Crave your indulgence. You all know when I say that who I mean and who I'm going to play, all right? But I'm playing this as a reminder for my Nubian sisters, right, who might be contemplating voting for the UNC. Remember, when you're voting for the UNC, you're contemplating voting for the UNC, who you're really voting for, right? Look at the team of persons that the UNC is offering you. So some of us need to look beyond the veil. Don't just see the symbol of the rising sun and you're vexed with the PNM and you will give the UNC a chance. Understand that when you give the UNC a chance, who you're really giving a chance to. And one needs to appreciate what they think of you, my Nubian sisters. All right? So let me play this for you. Just a little throwback. Now we know the UNC is famous for using the racial dog whistle, whether consciously or subconsciously. But they love to accuse the PNM of that. But ask them. Yeah, give us examples. And you know, they'll tell you, to talk about Calcutta ship. Or they will tell you about the skit at the PNM Family Day, which the party, both of which the party would have apologized for, no less a person than the former Prime Minister, political leader, Dr. Rowley. But when they do their things and you call them out on it, they don't ever apologize. The leader doesn't apologize. They double down and triple down, so that when you have, for instance, Khadija Amin and they referring to Rohan Sinanan as Rawan, this is not the first time they've made, somebody from that party has made that reference. In fact, let us not forget the same reference was made, I believe, to Dr. Rowley, right? But for those of us who are not familiar with the Hindu religion, or who may be familiar somewhat, we know what Rawan represents, but we'll discuss that in another time, right? So this is what, let me just play this. Let me just play this. What's going on with this nonsense? Just as a reminder. So as I said, crave your indulgence, and you all know when I say that. Yeah.
two woman, that two,
Just know.
that two woman that you're trying to court, you're trying to track, you understand? Two women, and one of them, every time you had to go to dinner, is expensive restaurant. You had to go and fix her eyelash. You had to fix her eyebrow. You had to do all kind of things. You had to buy a new outfit every time you take she out. When you go out, she eating the most expensive thing. The restaurant she choose, far. You have to burn real gas to go there. And then when you reach home after the date and thing, you ain't get a kiss. You ain't get a whole hand. No loving, no nothing. And then you have another girl that you check in and she check for you. When you need a little help, she bring food for you. She bring breakfast, she bring lunch. When you're going out, she just want a simple coconut water and a doubles, a KFC, a Royal Castle. She take you and she tell you she want to walk around the savannah because she don't want you to burn your gas. When you're going to work and the boss giving you pressure and want to fire you, she does support you. She give you options, she put you in contact with some of her friends to get you a next work, a higher paying work. And she treating you nice. She taking care of your children, doing homework with them, picking them up from school, taking them to the tennis and the football and the cricket. But here the problem, you's a black man. And the first woman who like expensive things is that black woman. And the other one who boosting you, keeping money in your pocket, giving you a job and helping you, that Indian. Which woman you treating? Which one you will choose? Which woman you go want in your life to make your life better? Yeah.
My what?
To my Nubian sisters, right? Just thought I would bring that one back to remind you. This is a man who hopes to be in the next government, right? Not as an elected representative, but then again, you never know, because they give last night we get a 6 for 9, right? We get a Maggie. We're expecting to see them roll out their full slate. They give you 3 additional candidates, so they're now up to 19. So apparently they had added a few more before, and we didn't hear about that, right? So when we thought we were going to hear the announcement at 39, you get 19, so they're still 20 short. So you never could tell. In their desperation for candidates, he might still end up sliding in on the side. But here it is that he's giving an example. And if you see the expression on his face, and he thinks that this is a novel example, I catch them hereby. So you're a guy, you have African descent, and you had 2 women you're courting. One is of African descent, and the other one is of East Indian descent. And the one of African descent is a gold digger. Yeah? Gold digger. Every time to go out, she wants eyelash, false hair. She wants the most expensive dress. She wanted to take her to the most expensive restaurant. And then you have to drive oho because the restaurant is way quito. So you're spending plenty money on gas. I want you all to understand, my Nubian sisters, the extent to which he went. He didn't just mention 1 or 2 things to denigrate you. He gave a whole list, all the things to show just how much of a gold digger women of African descent are. You all bring, according to him, you all bring nothing of value to the table. You only want, right? You only want. You're not adding to the man's life, you're taking away. And then after all of that, when the man spend his money on you, what you get? Give him get a kiss, according to him. Not even a whole hand, no loving, nothing. Right? Might need, well, see, after the man do all of that, drop you back home and you tell him good night. Yeah? Meanwhile, the other woman that he got in, who's of East Indian descent, according to that clown, look at all the things that she's doing. Yeah, she's simple. She don't want no eyelashes and no expensive dress, and she don't need to go to no fancy restaurant and all of that. And she don't make any waste your money, your gas money. No, she just want a coconut water and a doubles. That's all. She's simple. A little KFC, Royal Castle. Nothing much. She's not a drain on your pocket like the African woman. She taking care of your children, making sure everything good. Yeah, she see that you have skill based, you're a skill tradesman. She looking to see if she could get more work for you to build you up, unlike your African sister, the other one. She only calling you for money. That is how he has painted women of African descent. But they say out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So this wasn't just an example that he gave, he lives that reality, because when you look at the videos with the women who he associates himself with, right? Romantically, if you want to put it out, because the few videos that we've seen from Carnival, it seems every Carnival he changes women like he changes underwear. No woman want to stay with him for no period of time, right? Even the mother of his daughter, one of his children's mother, his ex-wife, the one who was with the DJ. You look, so there's a pattern. So this is something that he believes, right? Something that he ascribes to personally. He lives that, what he just said there. So that is what he thinks of you. So when you contemplate and go in and dip your finger in the ink for that party, understand that he's a mouthpiece for that party. And that is how he thinks. And when this video came out just over a year or something ago, there was no condemnation for that. In fact, there was applause. And the supporters of the UNC were happy to share it, right? Share it like wildfire. Yes, because they subscribe to that. Yeah. All them African deal on them. That is all they're good for. They only good to make man spend their money. But they bring in nothing to the table, nothing of value. They are just takers. This is the picture that he paints of you. You want to stain your finger for that? That is how he looks at you. He sees you as nothing. The only thing of value you could bring, as far as he's concerned, is a vote, but nothing more. You're not worthy to be in a relationship. You're not worthy to wife. As opposed to, according to him, the East Indian woman who, she just brings value to the table. In every respect, and then some. He went on to give you a whole list, and I keep saying he didn't mention 2 or 3 things. He kept going on and on and on about the different ways. And common sense, you didn't think after, that might be offensive. No, share it. I'm putting this out there, and you have this sinister look on your face. Just want you to remember that. Take note of that, right? Yeah, that's how he sees you. Gold digger. Walking on the road, and every woman of African descent, he sees again, got gold digger. And then he sees a woman of East Indian descent, and it's like, manna from heaven. He just hears the angels singing, and there's this bright light. Yes, that's what I want. He said it. You heard him say it. All right. Not me say so. I just thought I'd remind you of that. Let me get this here. Right. So we playing videos this morning, right? Because we got a mandate yesterday to go out and talk to the people, highlight why you should vote for the PNM, as opposed to what else is offered. So we go in again. This is a gentleman who is the deputy political leader of the NTA, and you see, his name is Kevin Saran. And I wanna make this point, right? You need to listen to what some of these people say and understand, if you're presenting yourself for leadership, what you can expect. Now, this gentleman is a doctor, and I have listened to quite a few of his videos, and I can tell you he's extremely dishonest and deceitful in his utterances with respect to the goings on in the country and his characterization of governance under the PNM. So I'm going to play this one.
When you wake up in the morning and you flick on the light switch, only to realize that the electricity rates are soon going to go up in Trinidad and Tobago. But you try to ignore that. You go try to take a shower, only to realize that the water rates are soon going to raise in Trinidad and Tobago. After you finish taking a shower, you put on your nice red t-shirt with that little red logo of that flowers on the top left-hand corner, and decide, okay, you're going to jump in your car to go pay property tax. Only to realize that the gas price in Trinidad and Tobago raised 7 times within the past couple of years, and it's the highest it's ever been. So you finally make it to the office to pay property tax, and you look around and you see people just like yourself. Nobody dressed in a red t-shirt except you. And you don't see any MPs because all of them have commercial buildings that are rented to the state at $20 million a year. So they're not paying any property tax at this point in time. It's just you, because you voted for this. And you finish paying property tax, so now you're hungry and you have to get something to eat. You go to purchase something and you realize it's about 3 times the price that it was a couple of years ago. On your drive back home, you decide to stop to see your grandmother, who then complains to you that she didn't qualify for the senior citizens grant. And you bounce up your cousin, who tells you that he can't afford to get tertiary education because GATE is no longer free in Trinidad and Tobago. The moral of the story is that elections have consequences.
Elections have consequences. Mr. Manning used to always say, show me a liar and I'll show you a thief. Right? And all of these people, the only thing they are doing is continuing to use scaremongering, right? Because they cannot use logic. And to think, because the things that they tell you, they know it's not true. So he's talking about you get up and you put on your red jersey and so on, and the electricity rates are about to go up. This month made it 2 years, since the consultations came to an end with respect to the RIC and the request from TNTech to increase electricity rates. 2 years. So 2 years ago, all this time, the UNC was all over the place. Every time the RIC have a consultation, they're there. The loudest voices, they bring in the crowd to create couture and bacchanal. They bring Victor Roberts and whoever else. They drag in coffin in the people's consultation. It's been 2 years and the electricity rates have not gone up, but they keep singing this song for the last 2 years. Electricity rates going up, electricity rates going up. 2 years later and it still hasn't gone up, right? But he's still singing this song, and your water rate's going to go up. When? Soon, according to him. Well, that too requires the same consultation that took place with the RIC. So there is a process that must be followed. There has been no consultation on that. So when he comes and does videos like this telling you that they're going to increase water rates soon, really, Mr. Saran? Are you the executive director or the chairman of the RIC? Has such a request been made by WASA? And when was that request made? And when did the consultations take place? And when was this decision made? Because you say the rate's going up soon. But to the best of my knowledge, no consultation with the population has yet taken place. And if 2 years later, the electricity rates have not gone up, but you're talking about soon, and yes, you've been singing this song for almost 2 years now. So what is your definition of soon, sir? But you realize this is the only way that you could rile up people. So come with dishonesty and talk about these rates going up, and people don't. The fact of the matter is people will spend money on what they want to spend money on and what they think they derive value from. Okay? So we just saw in the recently completed carnival, which many people would agree was one of the best, if not the best we've had in a long time in terms of participation, the length of the season, the amount of fets. Almost every fet promoter would tell you they made money and it went well. All the same people who complaining they're suffering and they're eating grass and all of that, they were there. They were in all the fets. These fets weren't free, but yet they were. And I'm not challenging how anybody chooses to spend their money. You work hard for your money, and as Marshall say, you deserve a party. And if you want a party and you could afford it, no problem. But as he said, the one true thing he said in that, elections has consequences. And when you don't examine the things that are being said, and you just take it and run with it, the dishonesty. Understand, when you choose to vote for that, it's on you and your vote is not refundable. But this guy is the deputy political leader of the NTA. He's a heartbeat away from the leadership of the NTA, and he's seen as being young and he's bright. He's a doctor, Yeah, so this is the future of the party. This is somebody who could eventually become the leader. But you start off on the wrong foot, my friend. You're talking about your granny, and you go by your granny and she tells you she don't qualify for the senior citizens grant and so on. Really? You continue to lie. That was an unforced error. However, it happened with that clause with respect to the $25,000. Even persons in the PNM were saying that is absolute rubbish. Garbage. Right? And the clause was removed. But that hasn't stopped them from continuing to make this claim. It's not as if the clause was removed under the cover of the cloak of darkness and we don't know. It was public. The Minister of Social Development and the then Attorney General would have had a press conference and they discussed the matter. They spoke to the matter. They spoke about how the clause would have gotten there and the fact that it was going to be removed and so on. It no longer exists. There is no threat to persons' pensions because this administration understands that there are persons in society who are economically vulnerable and who depend on these social grants in order to live. But my view is that we need to, and I think, and I can definitely say under the leadership of Prime Minister Stuart Young, and the innovative ideas and the team that he is building and the team of persons that he will have working with him, certainly the focus has to be on how do we assist citizens to better prepare for retirement, right? Of course, that is one of my specialties from a professional standpoint. How do we assist persons to better prepare? And that is why I would have told the former Minister of Finance that that initiative that he mentioned in the 2023 budget with respect to the National Financial Literacy Program is critical. Because there are persons out there who constantly reach out to me asking questions with respect to they want to buy shares in some of these companies when they read in the newspapers or they see on social media this company declares 600 and how much $1 million in profit and how much $1 billion in profit and the bank $2 billion in profit. How can I share in that? What do I have to do to share in that? And so persons want the information they genuinely don't know. How do I build a legacy for my children and my grandchildren? Because we're only looking at the 1% and talking about the 1% and the 1% and the rich getting richer. But there are opportunities for everybody to get richer too. The rich creating opportunities is the rich are the ones who put in their businesses on the stock exchange. And Samakal just declared an increase in their profits, $600 and something million. When we see Republic Bank declaring $2 billion, it is the same rich that they're criticizing and the same 1% that is creating opportunities for you to get rich. But when you sit down in a corner and you're only griping and chewing on your cord the 1% and Rowley and them only care about the 1% and the 1%, and the 1% has opportunities. You don't need to be a 1% to go and buy shares in Answer Macal. You don't need to be a 1% to buy shares in Prestige Holdings. You don't need to be a 1% to buy shares in Republic Bank. The government gave the average citizen, right, regardless of your economic status, the opportunity to be able to share in that through the NIF, the National Investment Fund. When they took the shares of the companies that they would have gotten control of as a result of the Clico debacle, the Republic Bank shares and the Angostura shares and so on, and put it into this National Investment Fund. And they said to everybody, look, come and buy shares. So you see all these dividends when you see Republic Bank declare. The government of Trinidad and Tobago is the majority shareholder in Republic Bank. So when we get all these dividends, instead of us taking it and putting it in the consolidated fund, we will put it into this National Investment Fund so that you, the average citizen, could come and buy some of the shares in this thing and get dividend checks every 6 months. So you're happy when your NIF check come, or when you look on your bank statement and you see money going to your account, hey, this is your share in the profits of these companies. So when it is that I see people like Johannes Ned here on YouTube talking nonsense about the PNM suffering poor people in this country on rubbish. But you see, you all have been so cultured based on the propaganda machinery to hate the PNM. But if you really take the opportunity and the time to do a little bit of research, you would see you're not making any sense. You're not making sense because when the other party, the yellow is the code party, telling you, put us in office and we will give you land for the landless. We will give you a certificate of comfort to be able to purchase a piece of land. Not purchase, to go and squat. The state is giving you the authority to go and put up a shack. The leader of the opposition who wants to be the prime minister saying you could start with a 2x4. You could put up a 2x4. That is what she has for you, Mr. Ned. Right? Whereas the PNM, so she's telling you, you could start with, we'll give you permission to go on state land and build a 2x4. And then you could try and save your money over the years, and then eventually you could upgrade to a 10x10. That is what she has for the poor. Whereas Dr. Rowley is telling you, listen, well, not Dr. Rowley anymore, formerly Dr. Rowley, now Stuart Chung, and the PNM is saying to you, if you have permission or authorization to occupy a piece of land, but you're living in a 2x4, rather than us advocating for you to upgrade to a 10x10, we will come. We have a facility in place, right, called the Home and Village Improvement Program, where the government has set aside a lump sum of money. So we come in to build a house for you, a starter home, at a cost of $200,000. So we're moving you out from the 2x4 shack that the opposition leader wants you to live in, with the dream and the hope of upgrading to a 10x10, maybe 10 years later, if you could save that money. But in the interim period, while you're trying to save to build the 2x4, the 10x10, you have to contend with holes in your roof. So when rain falls and you're playing musical chairs, you have to be moving the furniture all around, and you're walking in your house and dodging raindrops, or you're using an umbrella in your house, right? to put up the 2x4, go, you could go buy in scrap iron, old battery buy-in. See if you could find some old galvanized somewhere, some old plywood. Somebody might have turned on a house or whatever it is, or they're doing renovations and they're throwing away some galvanized, and try and see if you could fight up and if you could reach to the old galvanized before the scrap iron dealers. And see what you could knock up. And dig a hole in the backyard and put 2 barrels and put an outhouse. Right? And see if you could get some cement to build a little foundation and 3 other pieces of galvanized to put up as walls, and you could get a little curtain or something and put in your and create a little shower. And see how long it could last with that. But the former Keith Rowley administration, now Stuart Chung administration, is saying to you, you know what? That's not good enough. So we will build a house for you for 200,000. But 200,000 could only go so far, but it will still go further than what the leader of the opposition, who are not offering to build you anything. She's just giving you permission to go on the state land, but you need to fight up and get the material. We're giving you the material. And we're building you a starter home, 2 bedrooms, living room, dining room, kitchen, right? Indoor plumbing. But if you could bring sweat equity, you could get your family and friends to come and assist with the construction. People in the neighborhood who have those skills, so we don't have to pay labor. The money that would have gone to the labor cost, we could now put that into the house itself and maybe give you 3 bedrooms. And then over time, you could add to that. That is the addition you want, not to go from 2x4 to 10x10, but you could go from 2 bedrooms to 3 or 4 with your indoor plumbing, your electricity, and all of these things are being paid for. But people like Johannes Ned want to come and talk stupidness about the government that poor people and they suffering poor people. That is how poor people suffering. Do the comparison, please. No, do the comparison for me now. Fed up of promises with the PNM, but that's more than promises. Kamala promised the senior citizens in this country $3,000 pension at age 60. You get that? Mr. Ned, she promised you fixed dates for election. No longer will the Prime Minister be able to pull the election date out of their back pocket and their forbes. Did you get that? Ned? Promise term limits for the Prime Minister, 2 terms and you're gone. Did you get that? Ned? You got that? No, you didn't. Promise recall legislation if your MP playing up in the monthly salary. Sign a petition, get a certain percentage of the people who live in the constituency, and you could recall your MP and get somebody better. Did you get that, Ned? But you want to talk about your fed up of the promises. The PNM put out thing, come, we want to make you a business owner. You have a business idea or an existing business? Come, we have a program under the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service. We're giving you training, first of all, in running a business. We want to help you to improve. We want to create 1,500 to 2,000 entrepreneurs by the end of 2025. So we're starting you off with $20,000 a grant. It's not a loan. You don't have to pay it back. But if it is that you need further support, you could get through with NEDCO. But we're continuing to give you that support. We're not just giving you the money and say, go and start a business. We're giving you the support to make sure the business succeeds. So you could write your own paycheck instead. I want a little work in the corporation. I want to work in the borough. Right? And somebody determining your paycheck, and you get whatever little money you get. You're trying to organize your life around that. And you make a career of that. When the government is telling you, we're giving you the opportunity to become rich. Don't listen to those idiots on the other side who always talking about Rowley want to make the rich richer. But I keep making the point. It wasn't Rowley that gave away the prime real estate in Chagaramas. Rowley didn't do that. People like Ned just forget that between 2010 to 2015, when they were given the same 1%, all the good land in Chagaramas, Shagville Beach, where you could have just jumped in your car and go down and take a bathe. You could do that now? Who did that? Who took that? Who took that from you? But all you're talking is such a nonsense. A man get 35 acres of land in Chagaramas to be able to put up a water park and paying $3,800 a month in rent when he should be paying $500,000. You always forget that. Who gave him that land? It wasn't Keith Rowley. Another one got 100 acres to plant onion and put up a very successful restaurant, hosting carnival fetes and so on. Who did that? It wasn't Keith Rowley. The Chagaramas Convention Center that for years would have served as the venue for the PNM's convention. The last convention they held there, that was my first convention. When they gave it to, again, another 1% at peppercorn rate, leased it to them, right? Today, it was this PNM government that came in and took it back. It was this PNM government that came in and challenged most of the leases that were given out in Chagaramas. And man so bold-faced to say, well, look, I don't start to put on infrastructure on the land. So if you want it back, pay me $100 million. And the government had to negotiate. Some of these matters are still before the courts today. And the UNC in their National Economic Transformation Plan has the audacity, the temerity, and the bold-facedness to tell you, put us back in office and we will continue what we started in Chagaramas. So all you who walk from Chagaramas to the waterfront in the hot sun, the only benefit you would have gotten from that was exercise and you burn some calories, because Kamala is telling you, put her back and she will continue to give away prime real estate, because all you who complain about your poor and your suffering, you have no money to buy no land in Chagaramas. So put her back so she could continue that. You know what the Chagaramas Convention Center is today? Today, this PNM administration has turned that into an apprenticeship center. Under renovation for years, it was just sit down there between 2010 to 2015 doing absolutely nothing, gathering moss and dust and cobweb. But this administration invested money in it, converting it into a national youth apprenticeship center so that the young people who are looking for jobs and skills could go down there and learn a skill that they could convert into a business. And then the government is giving you the financial support to convert what you learn into a business. But people like Johannes, Ned, and Chris and the rest of them wouldn't come here and talk about that. But, oh, there's nothing for the youth. And they're suffering the poor. You know, because you're suffering from mental poverty. That is all the issue. Mental poverty is what it is. Because all these opportunities out there, but you wouldn't tell your son or daughter, go and avail yourself of it. No. Why does PNM money suffering all by? Don't vote for no PNM, no. What Kamala Prasad is offering you? What programs does she have in place for the youth? Has she articulated that? Yellow is the code. Yellow is the code. Yellow is the code. What she offering? All she talking about is PNM. Rowley. Stuart Young, but cannot articulate what they have in place. This government has over 70 programs under the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service for young people. Anything. And if it is what they don't have, if Foster Cummins happen to be passing by some young people talking and they say, hey, you know what they need? They need a program. And he overhear that. Rest assured by next week, that program in place. Rest assured. How do you think the number of programs have so grown? Anything that missing, come, tell them, hey, we need to put this in place. We want to cover every area so that whatever the young people interested in, we must have it. So we're building a skills bank for the future entrepreneurs. Not Kamala talking about we will create 55,000 jobs. Put us back in office and we will create 55,000 jobs. So in other words, what she's offering your children is to become employees. Go to school, get your passes, and then fill out a resume and send it out and sit down and wait for a call. And whatever it is you get, you could take. So meanwhile, this administration is saying, well, yes, you go in and get your passes and so on, and you may be interested, but don't just sit down home twiddling your thumbs and watching TV. Don't just go on the block and line and create a situation where you present yourself to be recruited by the undesirables, or you end up smoking weed and you're not making any constructive contribution. We have things here for you, and we're paying you to learn too. We're giving you a stipend. We don't expect to put pressure on your parents to have to continue to give you money to come to travel. We're giving you money so you could travel. You have a little stipend to be able to buy food and so on. And you're learning while you're being paid to learn, because we understand sometimes you need to offer an incentive for people to come. Instead of running across 2 lanes at the highway to run by the bottom, and every time you see a garbage truck, you're excited because you want to jump on the back of the truck to see what is inside. We are saying, come, enough of that. Come, learn a skill, learn a trade. You know how much money plumbers make? You know how much money is in air conditioning and refrigeration? Right now in our headquarters that we have here for my campaign, we're going to put in an AC, an additional AC. And they come to tell me how much it costing, the AC man charging to install the AC and to run the copper and all of this different thing. That piece of money, right? He making money. He said, well, I have a lot of work, you know. So the best time I could give all you tomorrow is probably 1 o'clock, but I will confirm, right? That depends. So he has to go through his schedule to see if he can accommodate us. And then of course we need to run wiring to the breaker box and so on. So we need to employ the services of an electrician. That's our next piece of money too. So all that have money in it. The government is telling you we are building homes in the first instance, some 600 families. So we need people to do the electrical work. Go on, the government is offering you the opportunity to learn these skills. It was under the Patrick Manning administration when they created CPEP. CPEP wasn't created to be a career and in cutting grass. CPEP was intended to create entrepreneurs so that the contractors would get an opportunity. You get, if it's a 2-year contract, a 3-year contract, to be able to learn the business, to earn some money, to build up your savings, and then you could be able to offer your services, not just to the private sector, but to the public sector too. All the time, state enterprises putting out tenders. And under this new procurement regulation, where it is that you must be registered with the OPR, you know, many businesses have fallen by the wayside. And it is opportunity for new persons to come on the registry and offer your services. Right now, a lot of state enterprises struggling to get people for different things because they just don't have enough registered contractors, businesses to do the work. Simple things. Go and form yourself into some sort of go get the skills and form a company, register a company. I always give the example of Tech down in South when they put out this RFP, this tender. They're looking for a company to persons to wash cars, to wash all their vehicles at one of their southern installations. Simple thing. You could go and form a business and car wash. You buy your equipment and you could bid on that and you get a contract for 3 years to wash Tech vehicles in South. So if it is that is something that exists in South, obviously it would exist in other installations. So you could inquire, well, you know, if it have any other installations like this one where they also have a tender, they go, yeah, online, or you could call and find out. So you could end up finding yourself, your business, if you could handle it, probably washing vehicles for 2 or 3 or 4. Look at this Coops car wash, right? That seems to hire mostly persons of Venezuelans, but all over the place, Coops popping up. This one up by me here when I driving down on the highway by Piaco Plaza there. Sometimes on a Saturday or Sunday, long line of cars waiting to go to an outside wash. Depending on the type of vehicle, it could start at $60, $80, $100 and something dollars. Long line of cars and people don't mind waiting. Where was Coops all this time? So that was an opportunity that presented itself, and somebody get a bright idea, open that, and today making ton of money. All over the place you go. Piaco Plaza, Aranjuez, Chagonas, Diego Martin, all over the place, they're popping up. They weren't around before. Who would have thought that there was this big opportunity for washing cars? Because people don't want to go through that. To be washing their own car when I could go through in 10 minutes and my car properly washed. You want that inside and outside, there's a price for that. And people don't mind sitting down and waiting on their phone while the car being cleaned. By who? Venezuelans. Because Trinidadians who football and we're suffering and we can't. They know what I work. Right? But that opportunity was there all the time and somebody saw it, took it up, and today making a lot of money. But we're suffering. You're suffering from mental poverty. That's where you're suffering from. But anyway, in the interest of time, we'll come back to that another time. Because some of you all need to be reminded, talking this nonsense about P&M suffering people. Miss me with that. We get this here. This one. So, while I was doing my live on Sunday, so I saw a lot of people were promoting New Source, right? New Source having a live tonight, 7 o'clock, don't miss it, and so on, right? And there was once upon a time when P&M people gravitated, and some still do, towards New Source because of things that she talked about and the wish that she would present, right? Sometimes she used to do a live for an hour and more. She's done a couple of interviews with former Minister of Finance, Colman Burt, which I would have viewed and I found to be very informative, you know, to get an idea as to the state of the country's finances. What are some of the challenges that the government faces on a monthly basis in terms of generating income to be able to not only pay all of the salaries and benefits and the social welfare benefits and so on, but also to be able to keep the lights on, as they say, and to treat with all of the infrastructural needs in the 41 constituencies, not just those that they control, but all 41 constituencies. So it's one limited pot of money to treat with all of the needs of all of these 41 constituencies. So when you're cussing your representative, oh, you're not this government and this government, the issue is money. The issue is money. These things are not cheap. All right. When you want the road paved because all the roads bad, you want the government to pave all the road. When they were going to borrow the money to pave the road, they had a problem with that. If they want to implement a new tax to be able to earn the money to pave the same roads that you're complaining about, you have a problem with that. If they want to withdraw money from the Heritage and Stabilization Fund to pave the same roads, you have a problem with that. Right? Every avenue that is available to the government to generate money, that don't sit well with you. Well, the only other way the government could generate money, revenue, to be able to do the things that you want them to do, right, is through earning that revenue, either through oil and gas, which is our main source of income, or through taxes. That is the main ways that government earns money. We complaining about the hospital thing. You still have to be waiting how much hours. Whose fault is that? The government built the hospitals. You all get 5 new hospitals in the last 9.5 years, as opposed to 1 hospital under 2 UNC administrations, from 95 to 2001 under Pandey and 2010 to 2015 under Kamla. 2 administrations, 11.5 years. You got 1 hospital from the UNC. Keith Rowley gave you 5. 4 completed and 1 is almost completed. 5, right? But you're still complaining. The problem isn't it has nothing to do with not enough beds and enough hospitals. The problem has to do with too many sick people. Too many of you all eating and drinking rubbish that you know you're not supposed to be eating. Too many of you all not exercising. And these things to keep healthy and to keep fit. And then you end up in the hospital and you're vexed. You ain't getting the kind of quality of care that you find you should get because, hey, I pay in $430-something, $32 a year in health surcharge. So that's supposed to give me the best healthcare possible. And then you want to do comparison with other jurisdictions where you must have health insurance. Either health insurance or deep pockets or crap or smoke your pipe. But we always have to compare Trinidad to the United States and healthcare in the US and all of that. Yeah, you have to pay for that. You call an ambulance in the United States, make sure you have your money. Right? Imagine an ambulance knock down a man riding his bicycle. The same ambulance pick him up, carry him in the hospital, and then they charge him $1,800 in the US. You knock me down. Right? I was on my way, just riding my bike. You knock me down. Take me to the hospital and then charge me $1,800 just for the ambulance ride. We talk about the other bill that come in for the treatment that he would have had to receive in the hospital. The things that we take for granted in this country. But anyway. So I was making mention of news source. I realized in recent times, news source seem to have an axe to grind because when you look at the quality of the content or the content itself within recent times, and maybe it's good that we've not seen as many lives from news source, right? And I would have challenged. Now we know news source had a significant problem with the way that Dr. Rowley would have demitted office and the process for appointing his replacement. Right? She has made no bones about that. She has not put water in her mouth to see how she feels about that. She thinks that it is undemocratic vis-a-vis the PNM's constitution and so on. And we make the point, and I stress again, it is not the citizens that choose a prime minister. You choose the representatives who will sit in the House of Representatives to represent your needs. That is what you choose. There is no ballot with a list of candidates for prime minister. So when you go to the polls, you're not required to put an X next to any name to say, I want this person as prime minister. You don't do that. What you vote for is somebody out of the group of persons who would come around at election time, representing the various parties and offering themselves. So you are asking you to give them your vote. That is who you vote for. Right? Not for prime minister. It has just followed that the leader of the party that wins the majority of seats normally would be the prime minister. It makes sense because the person is leading the party, and therefore, if they're sitting in the House of Representatives, they lead the party. It is it is understood that they have the support of the membership of the party. But all who feel this and that, and they allow the membership to decide and so on. I want to ask the question, right? Simple. So you go into an election, right? And let's say the party that you support wins, but the leader of the party doesn't win their seat. How then do you select a prime minister? How? It's a possibility. We saw it in Tobago when Tracy Davidson Celestin was the political leader of the PNM in Tobago. She contested the THA election in 2021 and she lost. She's the political leader, right? But we had Kelvin Morris was the only person to win his seat. And by virtue of that, you are allowed an assemblyman. But so he's assemblyman, you're allowed a councillor, whatever it is. But Kelvin Morris is the leader in the THA chamber because the then leader of the Tobago PNM did not win her seat. She's not in the chamber. She's not an assemblyman, and she cannot be the leader, right? So again, I ask the question, if you go into an election and the leader loses their seat but the party wins, how do you select a prime minister? Because the prime minister must be selected from among the persons sitting in the party that got the majority of seats in the House. So let's say, we know that ain't going to happen, but let's say in the election, Stuart Young loses his seat, right? But the party wins. Who's going to be prime minister? How do we make that decision? I just asking that question. How do we make that decision? So we had to tell the president, hey, hold up just now. The man who was supposed to be the prime minister, well, he ain't win his seat, so we need to pick somebody else. But according to the other side and the bright people, the men and women of letters, what we need to do, we need to remove, right? So we need to go to a special convention now, and we need to have the one man, one vote, and allow the wider membership of the PNM to select a new leader. So that person, a new leader from among those of us in the House, right? So already we exclude persons who might have desires to be the leader of the party who outside. So they're not members of the House of Representatives. But if a man had aspirations to be the leader and contest the leadership, because he's not in the House of Representatives, he is excluded. Is that democracy? So you're telling me I cannot run for the post of political leader because I'm not an elected member of the House. So, all right, forget you. Yeah, that's democracy. So you tell the president, here what? Yeah, we win. We need a prime minister. We need to give you a little time because we need to go on campaign. Because we want this thing to be fair and we want the wider membership of the PNM to have a say. So here's what. Give me 2 weeks, 3 weeks, no government, no parliament, because we need to have an internal election to elect a new leader so that this person could become the prime minister. And that making sense to it. That's not how it works. From among those who sit in the House, they will come together and decide, okay, who we supported? Because we had to support somebody because the country needs a government. And the prime minister is usually sworn in the Wednesday after the election. So you don't have much time. So we need to decide. So the election is Monday. The results are declared by Tuesday. Or you must make up your mind who we supporting. Right? How do we do it? Ballot. Because if more than one person presents themselves and say, well, I nominate so-and-so, I nominate so-and-so, and I nominate so-and-so. Okay, we had 3 nominees. How do we decide? We go to a secret ballot. And whoever gets the majority votes of the majority of the persons who won their seats on the PNM side is who will become the prime minister. Simple as that. And had nothing to do with the wider membership. And that wasn't democratic. Yeah, well, the rest of the country will sit down and wait till the PNM could sort out their house and hold an internal election to be able to elect a new leader from among those in the House. Yeah, that making sense to it. But anyway, so for those who would have missed the news source video, right, the 30-minute live that was done. And I question what was the necessity in that. You know, there's a saying, you could have sent an email. That meeting could have been done in an email. So you come and you sit down for 30 minutes to tell the people, well, you were on a sabbatical for the longest while. You admitted you started out by saying it's been a while since you did a live. But you come to just continue. That's all. You weren't doing any lives before, so just continue as you were. And whenever it is you decide to do a live, you do one. But you come to do a live for half an hour to tell the people that you will not be doing any more lives until after the election. Not that they were expecting that anyway. Because if you do a live in a long while, there is no expectation from you. So it's whenever you decide to pop up to do something. You know, how long I do a live? I'm going to do one today now. So you did a live to tell the people that, well, there will be no live until the 29th of April, after the election. When you have plenty, you'll have plenty to say. You have plenty to say now, but you're not going to say it now because you don't want anybody to say that you would have unduly influenced the outcome of the election because of whatever you have to say or you think you have to say and so on. Right? And they come in to tell the people about what really went down in Tobago with respect to the vote to select Dr. Rowley's replacement, interim replacement leading up to the election. And certain people getting buffed up and getting abused because of you, because of things that you have said, and they perceive that the person tell you this and all of that. Dr. Rowley made a statement at the special convention 2 Sundays ago, prior to the candidate presentation. One of the last things he said before he closed off, and he said, we heard reports that a person or persons after the Tobago retreat would have gone to the media, members of the media, to say X, Y, Z, A, B, and C, right? And Dr. Rowley said, whoever did that, if that is so, whoever did that should be ashamed of themselves. Should be ashamed of themselves, whoever did that, right? Because there is collective responsibility and confidence. And if you have hopes and aspirations to sit in a cabinet, you better learn confidence quick, very quick, right? But this individual decided to do a live to come and, yeah, I don't want to, so I'm not going, what they're saying is basically, so I don't want it to be perceived that I said anything to get anybody in trouble and whatnot. So on the 29th, we have a date on the 29th of April after the election and whatnot. So it can't be said that I said anything. But you put enough out there to create couture and bacchanal. You put enough out there for the UNC and other entities that are opposed to the PNM to use it as a talking point, to use it as a meme and create PNM, what kind of bacchanal and the house of the Balize, but yeah, news source say so and so. And if it comes from news source, well, hey, it's true. Yeah. And then you come to proceed to talk about you were fired from the Ministry of Finance the day after the swearing in, right? So you are now free to speak. The shackles have been removed. So now you could gallivant yourself and talk. All the things that you weren't talking before and you were restrained by virtue of the fact that you were an employee and you're working with the Ministry of Finance, but now the shackles are off and you could talk and you could say what you want. And I'm saying, really? I thought you were supposed to be bright. All the time the UNC attacking you and saying the money that you're making from your job in the Ministry of Finance that is hush money, that they paying you this money so that you could lick up the UNC and whatnot and the like. So you ain't bad talking the PNM. And then you come now to basically validate what they have been saying for the last year or two by your utterances that you lost your work in the Ministry of Finance, so now you're free to say what you want and you're going to let loose on the 29th of April. Right? But you ain't going to say it now because you don't want to stir up the pot and cause no couture and bacchanal, and people will say PNM this and PNM and all that bacchanal taking place in the PNM. But you put out just enough and you crafted it in such a way to create suspense and to create a sense of what should I put it by? Intrigue. So people, well, wait is news source talking about? I want to know. Yeah. I thought the PNM this and the PNM that. You talk about this article with Adrian Leons and you have information and Mark Bassan crafted the story wrong and he published it wrong and he should have do it this way and that way and all the information that you have, and come 29th you're going to have a date and we want to talk and all of that. So you put things out there into the election space, tongues wagging. And no sooner had you done that, of course, the opposition parties pounced on that. And they don't have videos running out there stirring up things. And everybody talking about news source and there's so much views, news source and news source. I wonder if these people understand, right, what it is that you all do when you do these things. We know that was well crafted. And the outcome that you wanted, it was achieved. So we know on the 29th of April when you have your live, oh gosh, the amount of people going and tune in. We need to see this thing. I want to hear what news source had to say. And sowing seeds of doubt in the minds of persons who have already decided that they are going to support the PNM. Right? And people, you all need to understand. And I don't know how else to stress it. That all who talking nonsense about yellow is the code and the PNM and the UNC this and UNC that. Chalk and cheese when you do a comparison. Chalk and cheese. The leader, well, next week Friday is nomination day. So they don't have a choice. They must release the list of all of their candidates by next week Friday. If they don't have all after next week Friday, well, that is it. You have no chance. That seat is forfeit. Okay? Forfeit. But they're scrambling. People are leaving that party in droves. They're scrambling to get candidates. The fact that last night they could have only announced an additional 3, so they're up to 19. A week and a half before nomination day, and you only have 19 candidates named, and you are the alternative to the PNM. You consider yourself to be the government and waiting, and you cannot even announce all of your candidates a week and a half before nomination day. You're boasting. Oh, since November last year, you buy up all of the space and all on radio and TV and all the prime time spots, and now the PNM trying to the stations and them calling earlier, and they're trying to renege on the agreement because the PNM didn't do what they were supposed to do, because the PNM was focused on getting the best candidates possible to offer to the population. That was their focus. That was important. Not trying to see how you could buy out space to block the next party when the election comes. So they were so focused on that. Yes, you have all the space on the radio and TV, but you don't have candidates. You don't have candidates because you're still trying to hog trade, and nobody with a modicum of integrity wants to associate themselves with you. You realize that you have candidates who are distasteful, right? The population don't want nothing to do with them. The one who is before the court on $1 million bail for fraud. And when it is news source does things like this and sowing seeds of doubt, and I make the point, it's not my concern, right? But the possibility is not that. So when they had a meeting last night in Naparima College, and they feel they're fooling people because all these seats were taken up in Naparima. It's not the first time. In 2020, during the election campaign, they had a meeting there and that hall was full. And what happened? They still lost. 2023, the local government election campaign, they had a meeting in Naparima College. The hall was full and they still lost. But they come last night, you see people, yeah, show the PNM. Look, this is what a crowd's supposed to look like and whatnot. Half of the crowd is children, people who they paid to come. In fact, we learned yesterday that one of the tactics that they employ, they call in PNM activists who are working with minutes with the candidates in certain areas, right? Stronghold areas and marginal areas. They call in PNM candidates and offering them money to bring together some young people and get them to wear UNC jerseys, right? And so that when the UNC candidates eventually come to work the constituency, it could look like they have support, and get these young people to say the most disparaging and nasty things about the PNM and the PNM strongholds and in the marginals that are controlled by the PNM. Right? That is their strategy to do that. And then when the PNM candidate comes, get these same young people in the UNC jerseys to make a ruckus and run the PNM candidate out of the area and tell them, go from here, let them do nothing, and this and that and whatnot. And there's plenty money they're offering these people to do this. But the PNM is a party of integrity. And so that the persons to whom these offers were made, some of them would have come and told the candidates, look, and showed them the evidence. Look, this is what they're doing. Look at here. Look the WhatsApp message that was sent to me. That is the strategy that they're employing. They're afraid. So when they come last night and they had this big crowd and they feel, oh, look at how much people, and think, we know they're paying people to come to these meetings. Victor Roberts told us that. He said people are bullied to come to these meetings, right? Julian John mentioned how much people they're bringing from La Quetta and all they full up a maxi and whatnot. So you bring a few people. If you bring 100 from this constituency and 50 from that constituency, Naparima College is a school. There's only so many spaces, so many chairs that I have. And then Ansel Roger with his stupid self bring a few people to occupy some seats. Right? Tell them, well, you come. But we will talk about, I feel like I tell Ole, I need to do this, I need to do more of these. Yeah. 3 days count. 3 days is not enough because there's too many things to talk about. And I had a clip I wanted to play from him last night, but it's already 5 to 8. As I said, I had to run and do that exercise today, and it's between 9 and 12, and I have a document to present to my election officer. So we will discuss that in more detail. Last night's meeting, and play some clips for you all to listen to the nonsense Roger talking in particular. I had to mention this one. So last time, all the time, UNC give public servants 14%. Public servants get 14%, and Rowley only offering 4% and thing. And Kamla put us back in office, and you will get 10%. Yes, so we come down from 14 to 10. I want to let you listen to this. Remember, this is the same Ansel Roger who just over a year ago or so was telling the government 10% can't cut it, 15% can't cut it, 20% can't cut it, 21 can't cut it, 22 can't cut it, 23 can't cut it, 24, we could start to negotiate from 24, nothing less than 24. This is Ansel Roger saying that, and I will try and find the clip where he said it. The baseline on which we will start negotiations, on which we're willing to start negotiations, some 24% go up. But last night he come, and the crowd, yes, we will reopen the refinery with the involvement of the workers, the union workers. What message does that send to Ohando, who are in the process of negotiating with TPHL, right? But we can talk about that another time. But what I wanted to mention here, and while right now we cannot give any specifics with respect to the percentage that we will offer for pay raise, right? But we will negotiate, the union will negotiate. So 24% is the baseline. That's what he said. But now we come to tell earlier, well, we can't give all no figures. So Kamla was saying 10% all the time. That's out the window. When she said 10, did he challenge her? You're telling Rowley 24% and nothing less. We could go up, but we can't go down. But Kamla talking 10, and he willing to negotiate from 10. Yeah, so you give her a baseline of 10, but Rowley is 24. And then you come last night now and change your tongue. We even offering 10. We can't give Wally a figure right now. We're not committing ourselves to any figure. So after the election, what the outcome, if we win, we'll come and say, well, we told you all on the campaign trail that we were going to give you 15, so we tie ourselves to that. Different, they changed the tune. My boy come last night. We can't give Wally a figure. Well, we cannot commit to a figure or something, so I'll play it for you. So they don't start. So they renege on the 10. So when they come and tell you, put them in office, and then they come and tell you, well, you know, the state of the country's finances, we can't give you 10. We could probably offer you 6. Complain. Go back and tell the EBC or back your vote. Right? Listen to the things that these people are telling you. They ain't calling figures again. They're not making the same mistake as 2010. Life begins at 60. You will get a $3,000 pension when you turn age 60, $3,000 senior citizens grant. Regardless, no means test. As only requirement is that you must be 60. Bring your birth certificate and come. And we see you're 60. Go down by the Ministry of the People and Social Development, put in your application, $3,000 pension. And man saying, well, I get $3,000 guaranteed from Social Development at 60. Plus I get $3,000 from NIS. So that is $6,000 I get in there. And I probably have a little private pension I might get from the company, a little $1,000. So what? Yes, I good to go. Gosh, I can't wait till I reach 60. And man run and give Kamla a vote for that. And then afterwards, she said, well, it was a misprint. We didn't mean that. But night after night, every speaker come and talking about life begins at 60, $3,000 pension from NIS, $3,000 pension from the government senior citizens grant when you reach 60. Guaranteed. Night after night, you know. So it wasn't a misprint alone, it was a misspeak. And all you take that chain up and get them your vote on credit, and then they come and tell you was a misprint. So when they were offering 10 before, Roger come and tell earlier last night, well, we not committed to a figure. So while we can't quote a figure for you now, so we're not telling you nothing that you could hold us to say we lie and we deceived you. We told you we couldn't commit to a figure. But if you put us in office, and after when we come inside now, and we tell earlier, it ain't have money to pay nothing more than 6. We ain't giving you 4, we're giving you 2 more. Take 6 in your lao. Let me hear earlier. Right? But I'm linking that to what to news sources live, where you put things out there that has helped or could help the UNC, a talking point. Because if it come from news source, and you know news source is PNM, because she was getting $30,000 a month from the Ministry of Finance, and whatever. So you made the point known that you lost your work. So you vex, you have an axe to grind. So you come in now, swords drawn. You come in to share licks. I don't know what licks you have to share on the 29th, right? But we will see. But whoever it is feeding information to that individual, right? What happens in Tobago or happened in Tobago or whatever it is a process that has been dealt with. It is gone. But you want to come and yeah, well, I had the scoop. I had to give you the scoop. I had to come and Couture and Bacchanal. April 29th is a new beginning, an opportunity for a new beginning under a new prime minister, a new cabinet with new ministers, new representatives, persons who bring in fresh ideas to the table and who want to go forward on a different trajectory from what we have been accustomed to. Stuart Young is going to define his prime ministership, and we already see the things that he's doing. He has proven himself to be a go-getter. And so when it is that video I played there with Philip Alexander at the start, when he's coming to talk about Trump says so and so, and what Stuart Young going to do, why is he going to bully Maduro and whatnot, and that you're just trying to deceive. At least, even in the face of all of this, Stuart Young has not capitulated. The PNM has not capitulated. They haven't thrown in the towel and said, well, oh, where is we? That is the end of that day. Forget that. No, all right, let me look for something else. They continue to make efforts, whatever channels are available to the government, to make this thing happen. Right? But if you listen to Philip Alexander, who's a mouthpiece and who hopes to be a minister in the next government, he's basically telling you, Stuart Young, wasting the time, trying to fool people. Donald Trump has spoken, and therefore, that is it. There is no need to engage Marco Rubio or anybody else. That is that. Just accept what it is and move on. Stuart Young is saying, no, I am going to exhaust every channel and opportunity available to me to make this thing happen. And we still have the diplomatic channel. The fact that the Secretary of State of the United States is coming to the Caribbean to meet with these leaders, and he's going to seize upon the opportunity to have a discussion with Mr. Rubio to express the significance that this gas deal has on the economy of Trinidad and Tobago. The significance, and to explain to Mr. Rubio, look, you're all trying to treat with the immigration problem in your country. But if it is that some of your policies are affecting the economic well-being of a country such that the citizens have no choice but to pack up their Jahaji bundle and try to come to the United States and add to your immigration problem, you don't need that. The better thing is to work with these Caribbean territories and other countries to help them to prosper so that there's no need for their citizens to leave their shores and come to the United States and be a bother to you. And this alone, you should look at what it is. Kamala Persad continues to double down and triple down on her attack on Nicolas Maduro, calling him a narco trafficker and all of these different things. So that even if Stuart Young is somehow able to reason with Mr. Rubio, to be able to allow us, for this particular project, understand that if the UNC were to win, Maduro don't want nothing to do with them. Nothing to do with them. Absolutely nothing. And she knows that. We need this. And I keep making the point. Stuart Young was able to achieve what he did, something that 2 previous administrations couldn't do. Because since under the Manning administration, we've been hearing about dragon gas and the negotiations and stuff. The People's Partnership came into office, they did precious little to nothing at all to advance that project. Stuart Young came in, and in about less than 4 years as Minister of Energy, he was able to negotiate Dragon, the delinking of Manatee, right, which is our side. And as he made mention, nowhere else in the world do they delink because there's one gas field, right? And you don't want that controversy for the other side to say, well, you're siphoning our gas. Because at the end of the day, it's Venezuela on one side and Trinidad on the other side. But how do you determine, does the gas hiss in Venezuela? And so, hey, now we pull some Venezuelan gas, but I hear that gas hissing. I heard it say, hola. So we need to make sure it's not a line in the sea to say, well, okay, Trinidad gas on this side and Venezuela. And it's just one big field. But Stuart Young was able to negotiate with the assistance of Washington to negotiate with Maduro to be able to allow us to delink so that we could get manatee gas, 2.7 trillion cubic feet or thereabouts. That is important. If Kevin Ramnarine had done that in 2014, 2015, guess what? Probably since 2018, 7 years ago, we would have been drawing gas. And we would have had plenty more forex and plenty more money in the country's coffers if he had made the effort to do what Stuart Young did. Right? Just remember that. If he had done what Stuart Young, if Kamala had done what Stuart Young and Keith Rowley did, if she and Ramnarine had done that in 2013 or 2014 or 2015, when she was rubbing shoulders with Maduro and she, you know, that video with her talking about he reminded her of something and some sanctions or some kind of thing like that and whatever, you know, when she was in his good books, when she wasn't calling him a narco trafficker. If she had capitalized on that in the same way Keith Rowley and Stuart Young did, Dragon gas would have been flowing since 7 or 8 years now, and we wouldn't be in the position that we're in now. It is unfortunate that you all voted for the People's Partnership in 2010 and set us back. Set us back. Just remember that. None of these gas deals were negotiated by the UNC. They didn't care. And they continue to talk about in-border oil and in-border gas because they cannot talk about Venezuelan oil or Venezuelan gas. I mean, not oil, Venezuelan gas, because Maduro wants nothing to do with it. Just bear that in mind. Right? So finally, now I haven't seen the video. I've been going through Facebook and I saw one video posted. Let me get this here. Let me get this. So everybody were glued last night looking to see who is the 39 candidates at the UNC. And they had all there they had all there the wickedest Maggie you could get. Let me get this. Let me get this here. Was it here I saw it, right? I believe so. Just now. Give me 1 second here, folks. Did I see it this way? All right, I didn't save it. No, I didn't save it. But I will get it. So I think they announced 3 additional candidates last night, based on the video that I saw. And poor lady, she couldn't do maths. 18 from 19 is 4 and all kind of madness. You will hear it, right? But we were expecting 39 candidates last night. Well, I don't know who they announced because I was anxiously waiting to hear, well, who is the glutton for punishment that they want to send to Malabar Mausika? You know, I don't mind bouncing you up on the campaign trail, but come, the people are waiting for you. Come and walk the constituency. But 19 candidates, even worse than 2020. Even worse than 2020. You have less than 5 weeks to general election, and there are persons who still don't know if they are the candidates or not. And a critical aspect of naming your candidates is so that they could go out into the field, go out into the constituency and meet the people. And it's not just about going out and shaking hand and kissing baby and patting dogs and saying, hello, I am the candidate. It is more than that. A lot of these people are looking out to see the candidates because they have issues that needs to be addressed, long-standing issues, and they want to be able to tell the candidate this, so that if you win, I expect you to come back and address this matter. But I'm grateful that you came. This is what people are telling me. I am happy that you came so that we could meet you and I could share with you the issues that we've been having. The challenge we've been having with respect to water pressure. I don't know what you could do with that. The challenge we've been having with the dust that is coming from the HGC development behind my house. These are the challenges. The issue, the concerns we have with respect to when this development is finished, that the amount of traffic that is going to be coming through our neighborhood. This is a private road, and we would like we have some suggestions as to where the road could pass for this development, and we would like to see it go there. We have made representation, but so far we haven't gotten the a satisfactory response, and we are hoping that you would be able to bring a different perspective and assist us in that. These are the benefits. It's not just about walking, hi, how you going? I'm the candidate. No. There are people you would see river running behind their homes, and their homes are being threatened. They're looking to see, they're desperately in need of certain things. They would have approached the ministry, but the ministry would have indicated to them before that the challenge has to do with resources, financial resources. We have multiple projects that we are working on, and so we are doing the best that we can. And what they simply want is a follow-up, right, from the ministry, and they're hoping that they could find a friend and an ally in the candidate to be able to advance the cause. And these are people saying, we understand, but we just hoping now, so that we don't expect to see you only once. These are the things, there's benefits. So when I hear the leader of the APP, All People Party, talking about, we are not walking, we don't care to meet all you, just give us your vote. People always complaining. We only see the politicians once every 5 years during the election. This party telling you, you ain't even going to see us. Just give us your vote. And the only time you will see your representative is on TV when you're watching the Parliament channel. The only time, or if it is there in a news clip. That is the level of disrespect that is showing. And when the UNC, up to now, has only named 19 candidates. So some of them now going out on the field, less than 5 weeks, and expect to walk the entirety of the constituency, when some of their constituencies, rural constituencies, the distance between one house and the next is significant. There is no way they could walk that constituency in 4.5 weeks. No way. But that is the disrespect that they're showing to you, that they don't care if the candidates don't come to see you and speak to you and hear your concerns. Just get them your vote. But they talk about you could put a tie, a balize tie and a crapo. They say you don't even need to see the crapo. Just know there's a candidate, you will hear the name, just go and vote for them. PNM is not taking that for granted. That is why the political leader would have told us last night, walk your constituency, go and meet the people, and let them know why some issues still exist in their constituencies. It is not that the government doesn't want to do the work, but we have a challenge right now with limited resources and unlimited needs and wants. And so we need to manage these resources for 41 constituencies. It's not just the PNM constituencies. Work has been done and is being done in the UNC constituencies as well. But as money becomes available, more and more projects will be done. I am seeing listings where projects have been approved. People are telling me about this issue and that issue. And when I inquire about it, I'm told, well, yes, it was approved by the ministry. It was approved. So we're just waiting funding for this project. So I can now go back and tell the persons, well, look, I did look into it, and I was informed, reliably informed, that the project was approved. It is going to be done, but they're just waiting for funding. And that funding may not necessarily come from the consolidated fund, the government taking loans and so on, IDB loans and stuff, and these different things, and money will come to be able to treat your situation. So it is not that the government has forgotten you. It is simply a situation of revenue, resources, financial resources to do the work. So fear not. And these are the things that the people want to hear. And we have the documentation to show it. But the UNC ain't care about that. 19 candidates named 4.5 weeks before a general election. But they're ready for governance. They're ready to govern. You can't even manage selection of candidates. You can't even manage an election campaign properly, but you want people to put you in office. Not on the basis of what you can do and will do, on the basis of the PNM wicked and evil, and the PNM don't like poor people, and the PNM don't like black people, and the PNM only care about the 1%. All of them, TPP, APP, UNC, whoever, that's all they're talking. The PNM wicked, and the PNM this and the PNM that, but ask them, what are you going to do? They can't tell you. No plan. Just focus on chastising and maligning the PNM and hope that that is sufficient to get you across the line. And then when you get inside, we'll see what we could do. But the number one priority is to thief. To thief. And that is why they're not going to name some of their candidates. You know why? Wait until the last minute. Because when we wait until the last minute now, those who are opposed, what they will do? That is who your candidate is. Vote for them. So if you see David Lee is chosen, Anal Ram is chosen, Rati Ram is chosen, Munilal is chosen, more than likely. Understand, Padarat is chosen. All of these people who are interests to the police, Trinidad and Tobago, right? They have no PNM candidate who is subject to interest of the police. Just remember that. But we will continue. It is already 8:14, so I had to jump off in a little bit to go and deal with the election matters. We're not taking any chances. All right? No chances. Winston, I've said it before and I'll say it again, but I had hope for you, You're disappointed. Every morning you're coming to disappoint me. Well, Roxanne, I am operating as if I am an MP, right? I'm showing the people that it is not about me. Because as I said, I live in the constituency, so the issues in the constituency affect me too. So that is one of the benefits of having a candidate who lives in the constituency. So I can't hide. People will see me, it's the same grocery I'm using that they're using, it's the same facilities I'm using. Right? So I can't hide. I don't intend to hide. The purpose of going there is to be able to fix the problems, fix the issues, as many as I can. So let me get this here. This now. So let me see. Hello, good morning. Hello. All right, one sec, caller. I don't know why this thing hasn't connected. Where is it? Where is it? All right, that's the problem. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Well, good morning, you hear me?
Yes, I am.
I wonder if Kamala ever loved this nation or any UNC person. You are born here, you were educated here, but at the moment Trump opened his mouth to come against us, you are happy? And you call yourself a mother of the nation? Really? You are hateful excuse for human. I am sad as what she is. You wear a face mask for votes, Kamala, and you rejoice at people's hardship. Tell me what man of human could ever stoop so low to go to hell and rejoice at people you want to rule? History will be one kind to you. And Adrian Kamala are the perfect pair. They are human Satan. You are evil. You have children, Philip. Is tomorrow is a guarantee to you? And when you have to lie for votes, it says about you, you have nothing to give. Because if you knew your worth and your value and your stamina as a want-to-be politician, you would not stoop to lie. You won't rejoice at the country's downfall. If anyone votes for you and Cameron Philip, you're self-haters. Do the right thing before you vote. Count the cost. Know the truth. Sit and think alone and have a family meeting and discuss your future, because your children's lives depend on it. God, have a blessed day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. 770-1763. McDonald Bando says most people don't understand that when the country earns money, the first thing is the foreign debt to be paid. So, let me get this here. One sec. So, 1 second. One second. Right. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hi, good morning, good morning.
Morning.
Vanessa from Motica.
Hi.
Okay, hi, good morning, good morning. Good morning to everybody who is listening in. I had a very interesting conversation yesterday with one of the residents in Nigeria. And I came away a bit upset and, a bit worried because this person is telling me the reason why that they would choose to vote UNC is because 10 years have passed and they forget what it has been under to exist under a UNC regime and what Kamala was like. And I'm like, it's very easy. You could go back in the archives and pull back news reports, etc. If you're truly interested, right? And so it's not a matter. I want to see conversations, and I mean, I want certain conversations to happen between people. But I mean, it kind of makes sense too. So don't tell me your future. You want to base your future on the future of your children because the gentleman has 2 children. He's a young professional, etc. And you want to base your future on the fact that you forget how it was under that regime. That's not good enough. And I am a person, I like to encourage dialogue. I love to hear people sort of think and sort of have these conversations. But we need to think a little deeper. We need to do a little more research, and we need to get serious people. It's not about, okay, I'm seeing this might be servant now. But because it is I ain't get lash from a child father who I was with 5 years ago.
Yes.
Let me go back and see how it was, how it is different now. Come on to our people, And I'm kind of feeling as if, a lot of other people are not, they are not making wise decisions based on facts. They are making it on feelings. And we need to get serious people. This is about our future and our money and our children.
Yes.
So just making balanced decisions with that one vote that we get, as you rightly said, Dominic, we cannot take it away or take it back when after the EBC and go back and see we make a mistake. So that is my contribution this morning. People be wise.
Thank you. Yeah, some people, I don't know where. Logic. Because I was reading some comments last night under somebody posted that UNC only announcing 19 candidates and that they didn't follow through on their promise. And a UNC supporter commented and said that is brilliant strategy. Well, when I hear that, I say, I need to figure out this strategy. So I went and pulled my whole calculus book, my whole algebra textbook, quantitative analysis textbook. I had to pull a T-square, a protractor. Yeah, I had to go and Google Pythagoras theorem to figure out this brilliant strategy. And after about an hour, I say, but you are damn fool. All this set of high science you trying to use to figure out this brilliant strategy when you should have just Googled donkey logic and you would have get the answer. Jenny.
Hi, morning, Dominic.
Morning.
Morning to all those who looked on to facts and stubborn things. There's something I always used to say, and I think I'm going to start back again saying it, and I'm talking about politically now. Sun Tzu, the Chinese military general and philosopher, he said if you know your enemy and you know yourself, you just win all your battles. If you don't know yourself and you just know your enemy, you'll win half your battles. And vice versa. If you just know yourself and you don't know the enemy, you will lose half your battles. And why I say that, and that politically I'm speaking about, we have had experiences with the UNC, not now. They follow the same playbook. They have been following it since 1950 something. And even before that. And if by now we don't understand that their strategy is just simply race and lies. And that is how they weave the whole campaign, or when they have to go to try to convince people. They have to use lies And if the city lights are working, then they use race. If we don't understand that now, then we wasn't really looking on and seeing what's happening. So I would simply say, because we know that it's hate and race, we have to know how to navigate that. And it is not hate, well, hate too, but lies. So then we have to come with the truth. We have to package the truth simply enough that people understand the truth. And when it comes to race, we have to speak about the fact that the only national party is the People's National Movement. And if you want a clearer example of that, our Prime Minister today. So we have to know how to craft our language when we speak. I heard the lady just now speaking, and I'll tell her this. Two things. The election is about next 2 or 3 weeks. So it may not have time to convince people in that way in terms of having a long dialogue with them, because you'll end up eating up a lot of time and energy when you could have hit 4 or 5 other people. However, you have to have discernment to know when somebody just trying to get at you by throwing all that out to hear what you will say. And if you walk away now, they say, you see. Or they really believe what they're saying and you can't change their mind. So if you have the short space of time we have, you have to have the spirit of discernment to know when it doesn't make sense to continue the conversation, or if it's simply the person really don't know and you could inform them, or if the person just trying to get a rise out there. It's a difficult thing, but you'll have to use it. So say a prayer before you go out on the trail. Ask the Father, the Most High, to give you a spirit of discernment, because you're going to meet real zombies out there. And this is the time for them. So you have to know. You have to know how to use your energy. And again, because the election is so short, you may have to skip some people, you may have to skip some things and look at the bigger picture. So again, I'm saying, we ought to know the UNC strategy by now. You're not going to get nothing new. What happened last night is nothing new. That is what they do. They hype up people, they try to buy people, they give illusion, so they keep it in Naparima. It's a small state. I was going judge dance in Naparima. And it's not a big area. Had they gone to Arangua, Savannah, or something, you'd have seen how the crowd is not big. If they didn't use the busing people not coming. We heard Victor Roberts speak about it, the bullying. Some people, last time we were hearing, it was alleged that if you ain't come your name on a list, you can't get a next work in the corporation. So when people under that kind of stress, you have to go put on the jersey, some of them, because they just want to survive. They want the money, they want the little work. They were just put on the damn jersey and go and stand up there. But yeah, when I go back and take off the glasses jersey, but when I go into vote, I vote in PNM. These things are real.
Yes.
But the crowd and the state about, oh God, boy, like that real people, don't matter who the state people still come and start to think of the fact that half the crowd, they don't want to be there. Start to think like that. I want to tell you to understand your enemy, know your enemy. Look at it, the crowd, half of them want to be there. Because the Roberts tell me they will bully them. We heard that they will put your name on a list, and if you ain't come, you can't get no work in the corporation. They could not to work in the corporation. We know that. We hear that us put money in jersey and give people to put on. So that's why I say you have to know your enemy and don't get distracted. I watch that crowd and listen to them and know that crowd ain't no big crowd. When you put away them who they forced to bring, when you put away them who they bust to bring in, when you put away who they must give money to come, the hardcore UNC is not much people. But again, you have to understand that there's a UNC is assured, I think must be 18 seats. No matter what you say about Kamla, what you say about UNC, they are assured of that. Or remember the crew down by Waterfront? I don't know. When you come here, I don't know. Actually, unfortunately, Kamla Prasad Bissett and the UNC know they have them votes for sure. So they're starting off with 18 and they're comfortable with that. And they will try to fool people to get the others. Those things we have to observe and understand. So then I come up with a big sector and Roshi, all of them get know all the hype up, understand the enemy. And if you know yourself, as I say, you go win all the battle, and it's simple to win the UNC. Because again, all they come with is lies and race. And with that, they throw around some money, and if you're gullible, if you love money, if you love nastiness, you will join with them. So always you join with UNC who love to lie, who love to get money the wrong way, who have hate in them, who don't even know themselves. And when you start to strip away that from them, look at Roshi. It is alleged Roshi does get $90,000 every month. Roshi works nowhere. He's not a part of no bargaining unit. He got money from when the refinery was closed. He got pension. And he's still getting money from members of OWPU. Isn't that wickedness? So you must expect somebody like that to join the Kamla Patarbi sector. Because he has no morals and no scruples and ethics if what I'm saying is true. So that's why you have to strip them away. So when they go to talk to the young person or the person that's enchanted with it, you have to go with the truth. Show them the future. Show them what they have to give. Show them where they are now. When they're born in the time when things easy. Let them know before that. The UNC and them, they know what I'm saying. UNC need to say because it comes from right on from PDP. They don't want Dr. Equilum to introduce NIB. When all the grandmother and the mother and them and all must get national insurance, they never wanted that. Let them know that they didn't want to have independence. They went up to England, the white man again, to tell them that we down here is do better off with them ruling we. That no black man can run this. You have to know history to show them that right and they come back to modern times and say, if they had get the will, how would we have been in this country? No national insurance, no 8-day our work week, no sick leave, nothing, because they fought against everything. So we have to show the young people that all they born in that time, all they born with night, all they getting things easy. But the time before that, when things was hard, the People's National Movement who stood in defense at this country, that all they could get, all they want free education. Before PNM came in, had no free education. Only who had land, and the colonials were sending the children to school, and the scholarship was just for a few. If you were brighter than a bird, you can't get it. When Dr. Equilum formed the PNM, universal education for all, you could go to school free, and it comes down the ages with a gate. It's education from nursery to tertiary. In America, them country don't have them things. But them young people born in this time, the 21-year-old, and them born in this time, so they feel these things come just so. And they don't understand. So sometimes we have to bring a little history, so that's why you have to know yourself. And knowing yourself is knowing the history. And you have to know the person you're talking to. Because then you'll be able to craft what you're saying in a way they can understand and appreciate. So I just wanted to drop that here and remind people again, crowds don't win elections. If the people don't go out and vote April the 28th, you can have so much crowd in your meeting. You can jump up and sing. That will cause you to win the election. To translate the crowds and the energy we have been seeing in the People's National Movement and let people come out and vote. Do not play games and feel we have it in the bag because the energy is nice. Look how big the meeting is. We love the Minister Stuart Young. The young people coming out, that is good. But that has to translate and going out April the 20th, which is about 2 or 3 weeks away. And that is where the battle is won and lost. People, make sure you check your ID card, make sure it's up for renewal. I don't know if the time for looking to check your name and all that is over, but the EBC will have put out the portal where you can check and all that. Get yourself in readiness. The battle is April the 28th. All now, so this is visual thing. Make your eye attractive. Oh, look at the UNC. Oh, God, the PNM crowd. That is good. but make sure everybody in the household go out and vote resoundingly for the candidate in your area. All 41. Even in the constituency that you tell yourself here, and go and still go out. Because I think Dominic spoke about the popular vote. Go out, don't go right here, and I'm lost here because when you does win here for years and years. No, go out. Because you might be surprised some UNC in that area vote PNM, and with you voting, it bring up and increase the vote. Take nothing for granted, people. Don't get distracted with old thoughts and this one. That is just what is there for distraction. I hope PNM involved with something in you. That is distraction. Watch ahead, put on blinkers. Watch the finishing line. April the 20th, if you know the PNM is the best for this country, you cannot be distracted now by old thoughts and all these stupid talk people coming with. Because anytime you start to have doubt, it means you didn't believe. So it's either you believe or you don't believe. And if at this point you want people to make you believe, when it is always believe, and you get shaken because old source talk so and this one talk so, check yourself. It means you don't know yourself and you don't know the PNM. So I go back to where I started and ending now. If you know yourself and you know your enemy, political enemy, you will win all your battles. And the battle we have to win, April the 28th. The war we have to win, April the 28th, is the election. PNM should walk away with 25 seats comfortable. Let me get this thing and this new era of the PNM started Dr. Rowley Lady Foundation. In fact, Dr. Williams Lady's first foundation took us from colonialism, independence, republicanism. And another doctor. In between, he had other prime ministers who did their part. And this other doctor take us to the gate of the new society. And it's open wide. And Prime Minister Stuart is going to walk us through the negotiator. Because that's what we need in these times, you know. We need a doctor again, you know, we need a negotiator. Because in this wrongs, you have to be able to negotiate in order to get what we have to get for this country. And Minister Stuart, Prime Minister Stuart has shown that he's a great negotiator. All the boardrooms he go in Hague and all over, they know his name. They don't want him to work for them because he's good like that. Because prior to that, the country used to hire external people, lawyers who does negotiate and things, to go with the technocrats to talk. Not even in Hague, in the regional areas of the oil companies. Now we have the own who walking into the boardrooms in Hague, where the owners is, not all CEOs, the owners of these oil companies is. And they have him on first name basis. He's so good they want him to work for them. That's what we want in this country. So people have ended with this. April the 28th is where the battle will be won. Don't get distracted. And we want to say on that night, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, and it has always prevailed. Thank you, Dominic.
Thank you, Jen. Hello, good morning. Hello.
How are you?
Hi, good man.
Yeah, man, Dominic. Is that Dominic?
Yes, we're hearing you. Go ahead.
Yeah, man, how are you?
I am good.
Thank you, Dominic. Well, Dominic, well, the season has officially started. And I want to thank you for explaining what occurred last night, right?
Mm-hmm.
First, problem number one, the UNC didn't present a full slate of candidates. Only pieces. Right? They're not completed as yet. Number two, whenever the UNC contest general election is always 39, they never send up candidates for Tobago. I wonder why. I am still waiting to see who's going to compete against you. You sent up a candidate already?
Not that I'm aware of.
So they haven't sent somebody in your area yet?
Nope.
Okay. Number three, why is it that the UNC have blue now? I thought that they done with NTA. They look like Carib. You know the Carib colors, Dominic?
Yes.
It may not too enough because right now I want to focus on Stag, you know. And if I was Mr. Griffith or the Caribbean people, I would have sued their pants off. Because that's copyright infringement. So unless they're showing solidarity with a particular party in Tobago, maybe that's why they keep in the blow.
Probably.
Right? Another thing too, Dominic. You see that thing with your crowd don't win votes. I keep telling people that is a psychological thing that they did last night. And thank you for reminding people that this is not the first time they're holding that rally in that particular area. From my understanding, that hold about 200 to 300 people. Dominic? I don't know how much thing, but I think it's hold a particular amount of people in that area. And I also heard too that it is alleged that a contractor is now financing the party is no longer Jack One again.
Wouldn't be surprised.
I want to find out who is the name of that contractor to organize Maxi to go in that area. So Dominic, the season has begun. And let me tell you something, I'm very disappointed with the lady who hosted that page called News Source. I don't see her page again. Like, was taken she take it down.
She said she was going to take it down until the 29th of April.
Oh, I see. Well, the chickens are coming on the road. We now know who these true snakes in the body see. But she has always have a state for certain MPs, you know. If you ever notice in her articles and her editorial at time, she had an issue at one time with the then Attorney General, Mr. Faraz Alari. And then she had an issue with, well, like I said again, well, she had a problem with Stuart Young.
Yes.
So these are the these people kind of cookie eye. But I'm a little surprised that they still decided to retain Mr. Philip Alexander. And now he want to go to contest Mr. Stuart Young's seat.
Good luck with that.
So he no longer focus. So he no longer focusing on St. Joseph. He don't want to go to the Gomarton West or the seat I get Mr. Coming with.
Yes.
He ain't saying that. But you want to go to that. Is he from that area?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And another thing too, Mr. Dominic, I think the PNM really had to go for the offensive now. You see these things like TikTok and Instagram, they are doing damage to the psyche of the young people. And young people getting chained up with the so-called propaganda and the fake news. We have to do something. Please, Mr. Dominic, if you put your input into the advertisements that the PNM has to offer, you see what the clippings that you have? Please use those things. We need to weaponize those clippings.
Yes.
Because all I mentioned, particularly in your pages, all the things, we have to go back to all the statements that these people made. Right? We have to counter that. Right? We have to counter that stupidness, that stupid story that Mark Bassan want to bust a file on certain government official. We have to bust a mark on that. Debunk that because it's the same nonsense that he did again with Mr. Foster Cummings. Remember that?
Yep.
And another thing too, to the people who work in the PSA, well, they have to look out for that young lady named Felicia Thomas. And she says she made a commitment to remove the government from office. Remember, she is a close associated with the then Watson Duke. And he too is anti-PNM. So connect the dots. Dominic, you have a good day. So please do what you're thing, particularly PSA, because they are the next group of people who just chain up their workers as well. And that is putting all the unions. So Dominic, you have a good day.
You too, sir. Brian.
Dominic, good morning.
Morning, sir.
How are you?
I am good, man.
All right, brother. Dominic, I told you on Sunday that I doubted that you get the 28 candidates. And we don't want to believe that she's having difficulty. I and I don't want to believe she is. I think that candidates that she has already selected, candidates that are going to, people are going to query, going to ask questions about. I don't think she's getting genuine, really good candidates. I think that she's going to regurgitate what she has.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think she can do better. And that is a fact. But she can't bring them out now because of the fact that many of them are carrying baggage.
Right.
And I've always said so. So it's not going to change. It's not going to be different. Because she remember, she is on a very thin thread in the sense that people don't want her. She knows that. But there are those who need her because they have issues to be dealt with, and the only person that they can rely on is her. And that is a fact. That is not going to change. So therefore, she's going to bring them out eventually. At the end of the day, she's going to bring them out.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to be the same names that we are all accustomed to. So get ready for that. It's not going to change. But we as a people have to understand that this is not about benefiting Trinidad and Tobago. And we have to protect Trinidad and Tobago. We have to protect our children and our grandchildren and those to come. That's what we have to do. And we know that there are people who dislike PNM because they're just not getting our foot in. And at the end of the day, whoever they can coerce into bad talking the PNM, that's what they're going to do. It's not going to change. It's a fact of the matter. If I can't get a foot in, I go bad talk the PNM, I don't care. And they know, those who are bad talking the PNM know that those who are attempting to get in the government and the governance has no value and has nothing to offer. They know that, but they don't care. You know why? Because they are about themselves. It's about the country. It's about themselves. So they will do whatever it takes. They love the UNC, but they just don't like. You just want to get the foot inside the PNM, and if they can't get in there, it's okay. So it's a matter of destroying and forget about it. But we have to do what we need to do. We are seeing it on a daily basis. The UNC will not bring anybody in they will not, but they cannot bring anybody in of a serious nature challenge the PNM. They cannot and they will not. But they cannot bring in their people because of the baggage, as I keep saying, that they are holding. And that's what it's about. And that is why we as a people, as Chochong recognizes this, that is why he's out and about talking to the people and saying, listen, it's about the country and not about people as per se, not about party. It's about the country, and we have to ensure that we don't get into the arms of the IMF. Because if we do, we're in a lot of trouble. And even on some particular stations, Dominic, you can listen to some particular stations and their talk show hosts. They don't care about the PNM. Their business about that. They don't care. Many of them is about money. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong, If you disagree, tell me. but it's about money. They don't care what the UNC says. When the UNC says things like in PNM constituencies, things so bad that people that the school is so terrible and there's no infrastructure and people are making money and there's so much of crime, as though there's things so good in Penal. Every time the rain drizzle in Penal, Dominic, you know from South, I can tell you, every time rain drizzle, I have friends in Penal, and they tell you rain only drizzle, it's flood. It's flood, Dominic. But people talking about that? No. People taking up land like if they own it and doing what they want to do in those areas. Anybody talking about that? Paris and Rari spoke about it, and they say have people in court. What happened with those court issues? Dominic, there are things going on in this country that nobody is even talking about. And I am going to talk about it as soon as the election finishes. One of them is Christopher. I'm going to talk about that as soon as the election finishes. And we have to talk about these things. But right now is not the time. We have to do what we need to do in order to win this election. And we have to win it by at least 25 to 26 votes or seats, I should say. That's what we have to do. Because at the end of the day, Kamala Prasad Bissessa does not care about Trinidad and Tobago. She is in there for one reason and one reason alone: to help her friends, her family, and that's it. And if we as a people, because on other stations they were talking about, I know, I ain't sure, and I had to think about it, and then they give somebody else a chance, and all of this kind of stupidness you're hearing. Where are we going with that? If we have not learned between 2010 and 2015, you think we're going to learn again? You think we're going to really learn? Gas is going to come in 2026. Forget what Donald Trump is saying, but gas is going to come to Trinidad and Tobago. Who are going to be the people to benefit from that? If we lose this election, if the PNM loses the election, what's going to happen to the refinery? You think Owando, they would accept Owando? And it's not. They say they're going to make it local. Who are going to be the local people with the money, with the deep pockets to regurgitate the refinery and bring it back? These are the questions we have to ask. Who is going to bring back the refinery? Who has the money and the financial wherewithal locally to do that? Roger? Roger has no money. Why is this? You must ask yourself, why is this Roger and Leroy Batiste, who are all of a sudden here not interested in the PSC? Really? But why is it these people are so interested in the UNC? What is the reason? What is the rationale? What is he thinking? Have they been offered something? Are there negotiations behind closed doors and promises being made to support the UNC? People must ask themselves these questions and don't wait for the answer. But when you get the real answer, you're not going to like it. And you know you're going to suffer. A gentleman said on Sunday, when you spoke on Sunday, and it's even in my mind, the devaluation of the dollar, maybe 10 to 1 or 12 to 1. Who's going to suffer from that, Dominic? It's going to be we, the people. You have children abroad studying. You're going to raise the money. How are you raising the money? How are you going to travel abroad when it is 10 and 12 to 1? Because these people have money abroad who they want to bring back in large quantities or larger quantities. So revenue to enhance it. Ask all yourself these questions. Don't wait until the 28th, the 29th to find out. We know what we have to do. We know what we have. Don't guess. But if we guess, we're going to be in trouble. Don't wait until it reaches 10 to 1 and 12 to 1 and say, oh God, what am I going to do? I'm trying to come back to Trinidad because that isn't the, I can't afford it. It's not difficult already. What are we going to do? Are we going to wait until the DeSalle plan negotiations for the last 24 years go for a further 24 years? Are we going to wait to see food stamps or food cards go to the rich for $30,000 and $40,000 and $50,000 to certain people so that they could save their money and buy groceries with that food card, and you want to catch your backside? That is what all you want, because that is what they're going to do with their friends. Kabla for some reason does not care about you and I. They're already pulling we Rawan. What all you're going to wait to see? They're only going to bowl and say, oh God, we can't afford it. They don't care about things like carnival and culture and these type of things. They care about themselves. You have a choice. You cannot take back your vote when you place your ink in the, dip your ink, your finger in the ink, sorry. You have one choice. Don't make a fool of yourself. Don't make a fool of it. Don't sacrifice your children. Don't gamble with your children. Don't gamble with your grandchildren. You have a choice. One choice. One chance. Make it work. Make yourself lie down in your bed in the night on the 29th and sleep comfortably, knowing that you have done what you're supposed to do for the benefit of not only yourself, but your children and your grandchildren. That you did what you were supposed to do. Don't take no chance. Don't give them no chance. They had a chance and they lick it up. You don't take that chance. Because you will live this time to regret it. Because Kamala knows she only has 5 more years. Don't take that chance. Please, I urge you, the people, the listeners. Dominic, I thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So the phone is ringing, folks, but I can't take any more calls because, as I said, I have to go to the returning officer's place there to with my election documents, right, to make sure everything is good for next week Friday. Yeah. So, but as I said, I'll try and see if I could come on in the morning again. And I guarantee you, but definitely I'm going to need to do more than three lives per week as we head into the election, because there's a lot of things to talk about, information to share, and we simply don't have the time. All right. So thank you so much for joining me this morning, and we will chat again. If not tomorrow, Thursday. Yeah, but as I said, I really have to run because we only have 3 hours to do this exercise from 9 to 12. So if you can get it through today, well, the next day is next week Friday, and you better have all your papers in order. Otherwise, you're not a candidate, and the other side wins by default. All right. So enjoy your day, keep safe, make it a productive one, as I always say. We chat again soon.